When we think about history, our minds usually go to dusty old books or giant serious monuments. But what if I told you that sometimes the real story, the most honest version of the past, comes from things that were never meant to be historical records at all? Today, we're going to piece together a massive ancient Greek victory, not just from the historians, but from a piece of evidence that's, well, it's shocking, unexpected, and frankly, pretty darn rude. And that's really the big question we're tackling here. We've got the official reports, the play-by-plays, but how can a simple clay jug, something you'd use at a party, give us a more gut level, a more human understanding of a huge moment in history? Well, you're about to find out. And believe me, the answer is wild. Okay, so first things first, let's get the official story. For that, we turn to the most reliable, no-nonsense guy in ancient history, Thucydides. He's not here for drama, he's here for the hard facts. He tells us what went down at the Battle of Eurymedon, which happened around the 460s BC between the Greeks, led by Athens, and the huge Persian Empire. And the scale of this victory? It was just staggering. This number right here, 200. That's how many Persian warships the Athenians and their allies either captured or sent straight to the bottom of the sea. Just take a second to picture that, an entire fleet completely wiped out. But here's what made the Battle of Eurymedon absolutely legendary. It wasn't just one victory, it was two. Right after crushing the Persian fleet, the Athenian general, a guy named Kimon, lands his troops and defeats the Persian army waiting on the shore, all in the same day. A 1-2 punch like that was basically unheard of. It was a massive, crushing blow to Persian power. So, Thucydides gave us the what. Now to understand the how, we gotta turn to a totally different kind of writer, the biographer Plutarch. See, Plutarch is less about just the facts, and more about the man who made it all happen, the general Simon. And let me tell you, Plutarch paints a picture of an absolute military rock star. According to Plutarch, Simon was just a force of nature. He wasn't just playing defense, he was on the attack, just systematically dismantling Persian control all along the coast. He even came up with this brilliant idea to modify his ships to carry more soldiers, turning his navy into a rapid deployment force. Plutarch basically says that no one, and I mean no one, ever humbled the great Persian king like Simon did. But this is where we need to put our thinking caps on. Does this sound a little too perfect? I mean, a flawless hero who never makes a mistake? Remember, Plutarch wasn't writing a critical history book. He was writing a biography. His goal was to inspire people with stories about great men. So you have to ask yourself, where does the real person end and the superhero story begin? Let's break it down. On the one hand, Plutarch is super valuable. He gives us specific details, and he even tells us where he gets his information, which is great. But on the other hand, his language is totally over the top, knocked down his pride, and his main goal is to tell a moral story. So, while the basic facts seem to check out with Thucydides, this portrait of a perfect, flawless Simon, yeah, that might be a bit of an exaggeration. All right, so we've got the hard facts from the historian and the heroic tale from the biographer. But now it's time to bring in our star witness, a piece of evidence that gives us a completely different and way more raw perspective. And it's not a statue or a monument. It's just an ordinary Athenian wine jug. Painted on the side of this jug, you see this simple but really powerful inscription. In Greek, it says Eurymedon Imi, which translates to I am Eurymedon. So who's talking here? The battle itself? A person named Eurymedon? It's this cryptic little phrase that pulls us right into the scene painted next to it. And there's the image. Yeah, it's crude, it's explicit, and it is not subtle at all. What you're seeing is a victorious Greek, shown nude and powerful, totally dominating a Persian soldier who is bent over in a posture of complete submission. This isn't some respectful monument to the fallen. It's a political cartoon. It's a joke. A very, very savage joke. So, what in the world is going on here? To us, today, this might just seem like a really vulgar, maybe even childish joke. But to an ancient Athenian, this image was packed with symbolism. It was a powerful message. We just need to decode it to understand what they were really saying about their victory. Okay, to really get this, we have to get inside the ancient Greek mindset for a second. For them, sexual dominance was a straight-up metaphor for power. Military power, political power, you name it. The person doing the penetrating was the winner. the dominant masculine conqueror. The one being penetrated was the loser, seen as submissive, feminized, and totally defeated. So this image isn't just a dirty joke, it's a political statement of absolute conquest. Let's look closer, because every single detail here is a calculated insult. The Greek figure, he's upright and nude, which for them was the ideal of masculine strength. The Persian, he's bent over, and this is key, he's wearing trousers. To the Greeks, trousers were seen as unmanly, a sign of barbarian weakness. And get this jug was used at fancy drinking parties. This was literally how the winners were celebrating behind closed doors, with vicious, triumphant propaganda. So let's bring all our evidence back together. We have the historian, the biographer, and the wine jug. On their own, each one gives us just a piece of the puzzle. But when you put them all together, that's when you get a rich, three-dimensional understanding of the Battle of Eurymedon and what it actually meant to the people who lived it. And this timeline really drives home why that vase is such a game changer. Look at the dates. The battle happens, and the vase is made almost immediately after. It's our most contemporary source. Thucydides is writing decades later, and Plutarch, he's writing centuries later. That vase gives us a snapshot of the raw, unfiltered emotion in Athens right after the win. So here's how it all comes together. Thucydides gives us the facts. What happened? A double victory, 200 ships gone. Plutarch gives us the narrative, how it happened, thanks to the heroic general Kimon. But the vase tells us how that victory actually felt to the Athenians, and it felt like total domination, a confirmation that they were superior to these barbarian enemies. And that feeling of total humiliation on the vase, it was matched by the cold, hard geopolitical reality. The defeat at Eurymedon was so complete, so absolutely devastating, that the mighty Persian Empire basically gave up on the Aegean Sea for decades. This one battle secured a whole new era of Athenian power. And that brings us right back to where we started. The most honest version of history isn't always in the official records. Sometimes it's in the jokes we tell, the memes we share, the everyday objects that capture how we really feel in a particular moment. Which leaves us with a pretty cool question to think about. When historians look back at our time, what's going to be our Eurymedon vase? What silly, insignificant thing will tell them who we really were?